Okay, great. All right. And I'm just going to bring this back real fast. Okay. All right. Well, this is not like my normal workshops where it's interactive. So if you don't want to have your camera on, I'm not offended at all. You can turn them off because I'm just going to be sharing my screen like I am now, and it's just going to be the Google form. So I'm not looking for participation or anything like that. But if you have a question, of course, unmute yourselves and just speak. I have no problem if you want to turn your cameras off. So I'm going to get started. This is getting started with Google Forms. So actually, I am going to ask an interactive question. Are any of you familiar with Google Forms? Does anybody use Google Forms right now? So Ashley, you
Yes.
do. I don't see everybody's.
I
Okay. All right. So you basically know how to create then. And what were you hoping to get out of this workshop then? Because then maybe I can, if it needs to be advanced, I could do a little bit more advanced.
Joanne, can I interrupt? It's Gabby.
Okay.
I I probably am the novice here. I have tried to do it, but I'm doing something completely wrong. So
Okay.
it is okay with everybody. Could you just start from the top? Because
Yeah. But
I've
there's
never-
other things I can sneak in there.
I use them
done
and
it like-
share.
yeah,
I use them and
inconsistent.
share them, but I don't develop them. Somebody else does, and we
Oh,
do.
okay.
So I would love to know how to develop them too. Thanks, Gabby.
All right. Ashley, I know you said you raised your hand. You use them, and Tamara, you said you use them as well. So you know how to create and send and all that.
Yes, but that's okay. I'm fine with review.
Okay.
I kind of do maybe, but I'm not really sure. I've done it consistently, so.
All right. So then at least I know, it seems like everybody's all over. You are familiar. I mean, you obviously know that I use them all the time because that's how I send out, all the feedback forms I use. So I just wanted to back up for a second. I use them for a lot of different things. You can use them for exit tickets. You can use them for feedback forms. I do end of the semester feedback I get from them. You can do quizzes on them. Quizzes is a whole different ballgame. I'm not going to go into that today. That could be a whole other workshop. I teach you how to do quizzes on here. I think the most important thing is learning how to do them and the functionality of Google Forms first. And there's also many other things that you can use Google Forms for. Signups. I don't know if you guys remember before COVID, you all signed up for the workshops. You signed up for particular time frames of in-service. And I was able to then get all the information, all of the data, and I could print out everybody who's going to go to session 1 in room number 11 and so forth. So there's a lot of different add-ons that you can use with Google Forms, but I'll get into that later. So if you just joined us, I did put in the chat the link to my document that are the things that I'm going to cover in today's session of Google Forms. So, and as I said before, it's not an interactive, workshop. It's really, I'm just going to go through the steps. And if you have questions, just unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, it's not going to be like polling and all that other stuff. So I'm going to get started. And as I always say with the very first thing, and I use this shortcut all the time, I'm all about shortcuts, that when you go to do a new form, Google Sheet, Google Doc, anything, all you have to do is put in those words, either forms, as I just did, and as you can see that I already have it set up, it will automatically default to forms, sheets, sites, anything that's in your G Suite. And G Suite refers to those 9 little dots up in the right-hand corner of your Google Mail, in your Harcum Mail. This is just a shortcut, so I don't have to get into the G Suite in order to get new forms started. So all I did, I'm just typing in forms, and since I use it so much, it defaults right through that. So I'm typing in forms.new, and then I just click enter. And then what you will see on the screen as it goes through the process, it begins a new form for me. I'm going to go into all the details of how to create it and how it looks when somebody is doing it. So again, if you have questions as I'm doing this, just by all means, just unmute yourself and ask me, because I use these all the time. And so a lot of times I might take for granted that somebody knows what they're doing and what I'm doing. So that's the easiest thing. So you just go up to your browser and you can put in forms.new and it automatically takes you to a new form. And this is what it would look like. It defaults to purple. So, and I'm going to show you how you can change all that. I'm going to show you how you can upload a picture. And then oftentimes your pictures are way too big for this slight section that they give you. I'm going to tell you how you can adjust that as well. So the first thing, so on number 2 is just talking about how do you title your form. So there are 2 ways. You can come up right here to the left-hand corner, and if I clicked on this, I could title the form. But what I would rather do is title it here. So all I'm doing is clicking on this section. I'm going to highlight it. I'm just going to call this a sandbox, because whenever I'm playing with something, I call it the sandbox, and then I just click enter. So once I click enter, I can come up to where this says untitled form and just click, and it will automatically rename it to what I named it in this box. So I only have to name my form once. So you do it here first, you click enter, go up to where it said untitled form, click it, and then it automatically will say the same thing. Just the title though, not the form description. So in the form description, this is where I would write something like, please complete the following form, your feedback. I mean, you've seen my form, so you can just use that as a reference point, but you can just put in there, please, please fill out form. As I said, others who first got on here, I'm only working from my laptop today. Usually I have screens going all around me. So this is really hard for me to adjust to just one screen. So if I make a mistake, you'll know why. Okay, so I just wrote that in there. Please fill out form or what have you. And as I do that, another shortcut is Control Z, as with all G Suite, not all G Suite. It doesn't work on some applications, but if you do Control Z, so I push down my control button. At the same time, I did Z. And what that does is automatically takes away what you did previously. Some people ask me, why would I use that when I have the go back key up here, the undo key? Well, if you're not on a touch screen or you don't have a mouse, this might be easier for you to do, or you don't like using your little pad on your laptop. So that's why Control Z is something that I make use of all the time. All right, so what I'm going to show you next, I'm gonna have to reduce everybody. So really the only person that I see on my screen is myself. So again, if you have a question, please, by all means, just ask. Next, I'm going to cover what's over here on the right-hand side. So this is what's going to help you create your form. And there's lots of different options that you can do. So, but as this is set up right here, I'm ready for my first question or whatever you plan on using this for. So instead of adding anything to it right now, I'm just going to come over here where it says untitled question, and I just click on it, and it automatically gets highlighted to where I can type in what I want to ask. So I'm going to say, what is your favorite color? Okay. As you can see, when I started doing that, it's a smart tip, I guess you can say, and Google automatically saw that I'm going to ask something that most likely will be either a short answer or it's going to be some other form of an answer, but I can change anything. So it automatically changed to the short answer based on the type of question that I asked. So what I'm going to do next is, well, what is your favorite color? That could be something that I might want somebody to type in their answer, or I might want to give them a list. So I'm actually bumping ahead. I'm going to look at my form right now, what I'm giving you. Yeah, when I'm up to number 6, I bypassed this thing on the side here, but I'm going to get back to that in a second. So say I don't want it to be a short answer, and you might notice on the forms that I send out to you that when you use short answer, a lot of times you're inviting mistakes. So I've often found this, like if I ask, like on the thank a teacher, so many mistakes on that where I ask students to write in their teachers' names. It's amazing how many of them don't know their teachers' names. And then I have to guess as to what it was. What would probably be more beneficial is if I had a drop-down list. So I'm going to get to that, but right over here where it says short answer, there is a drop-down arrow. If I click on that, all of these choices light up. I can select from all of these. I'm going to talk about each of them right now. So short answer is simply that. If they're just typing in a couple of words or what have you, or a paragraph, and there is a limitation to the number of words. I don't know how many, but that's why you have the differences between a short answer and a paragraph. The paragraph obviously is going to be, sentences and things like that. But that could be really useful on a quiz if that's what you plan on using this for. But again, I'm not going to go into quizzes on this workshop. Next is multiple choice. So multiple choice means that they only select one of the things that you provide as answers. So I'm going to click on multiple choice just so I can show you what that looks like. So once I click multiple choice, and again, that means only one choice that they're allowed to select. Defaults to this option 1. So this is where I want to start writing my answer. So if I just click on it, same thing happens. It highlights in blue, meaning that now it's ready for me to type in whatever I want. So say I'm going to do purple. So if I click enter, it automatically defaults to giving me an option 2. So I just pushed enter after I click purple. So say I want to do red. And again, I can just keep clicking enter, 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 depending on how many choices I would like to give the audience that's reading this. Say I don't want an option 3. It gave me an option 3. All I have to do is come over here to the X, and I click on the X, and it automatically removes it. It also gives you the option to upload pictures. Anywhere you see this icon, you can add an image. So as you can see on each of the answers, the image shows up. As I'm just moving my finger and I'm just hovering over. So it goes away, but then it comes back if I hover over it. It also allows you to do that with the question itself. This is actually a new feature that they've done, because before I used to have 2 separate questions, one that had the picture of what I wanted to show, and then one was the question itself. So say you want to add a picture. If I click on that, I'm going to show you what it does. I can upload it from my computer. So if I have any pictures on my computer, I can upload that. I can take a picture. If there's a URL, I can use that. I can use my Google Photos, or I can go to Google Drive, anything that's in my drive, or I can do a Google image search. So I'm just going to do that real quick right now. And I'm just going to say, what was my first choice? I think it was purple. So say I do purple and see what happens. Okay, I like the dot, so I'm going to click on that. So all I'm going to do is just left click on that. The bar comes up at the bottom. It asks me if I want to insert it. I'm going to just click on insert. So give it a second. And now here's my big purple, purple button. Thankfully, now you are able to resize these. So I don't want that big, huge purple. So I just left click on it. And when I left click on it, the border comes up all in blue, and that means that you can resize. I'm just going to go into one of my corners, click on it, and then I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to resize it. So now it's a better image, it's a better picture than what I wanted before. It took up the whole screen. I would not want that. And I can make this smaller, and then it will show you when it can't get smaller. I'm going to do that now. I think I defaulted it to where that's the smallest that it will go. Whenever you see the 3 dots, it means you have options. So anywhere I go on here while I'm in the editing stages, I see the 3 dots. If I click on the 3 dots, it's going to ask me, where do I want it aligned? Do I want it in the left like it is now? Do I want it centered? So it automatically will move it in the center. I don't have to worry about tabbing it over or counting the spaces or anything like that. Or I could right align it. So I'm going to go back to center align. But it also gives me the option, well, what if I don't like that picture anymore? I can change it, or I can even just remove it if I don't like it. Okay, I probably shouldn't have it here because I'm asking what is your favorite color. I'm actually going to remove that. So come down to these choices. This is where that purple should go. If I hover over here, that's where I should add that image. And there's red, and it automatically defaults to this too. It says add option or add other. If I click on the blue, all I'm doing is hovering over this. If I click on that, it automatically adds it to me. I don't have to type in that word other. So when somebody looks at my form, they're going to have three choices. It's going to be purple, red, or other. And with other, they're able to type in whatever, color it might be. So, and I'll show you how to check what it looks like when you are going through this. So that's how basically that looks on your screen. You can add things, remove it, and so forth. If you scroll down a little bit more, this is an add-on. Basically, this add-on, and it's great to have if somebody can record an answer and somebody can record back to me their answer. So this is good for accessibility, for diversity and equity and all that sort of thing. So I'm learning how to use that right now. I'm hoping to make that into a workshop.
So Joanne, I have a question. I don't have that on mine. Is that because I have an older version or something?
Nope. So great question. I'm glad you asked that. So the add-on is something that you add on to your form. You have to download it to your form.
Okay.
So Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, all of them have the opportunity for you to get add-ons. Okay, I'm going to get into, actually, I think I have it in here. Maybe it's not on here. I'm looking at my form right now. Maybe I didn't talk about add-ons. The one add-on that I have on here is a selection eliminator. So I use that when all you guys signed up for your session. So after 15 people selected a certain session, that option dropped off. And that was one of the add-ons that I used. I'm going to show you where you can get all of them. But really this button up here, when I hover over this last button, it says add-ons. And if I click on that, you can see there's that choice eliminator and then icons for slides and docs. So I have lots of different ones. I only have two for Google Forms, but I use these all the time. I'm going to show you how you can do the add-on in a second, but that's a really good question. Remind me if I don't go over it. This button right here, you look at this, it's duplicate. So if I wanted to duplicate the question, all I have to do is click on that, and then it automatically duplicates that question. What I like this for is, say I'm asking a question, I want to use the same answers. Different question, same answers, it duplicated everything. All I have to do is now change my question if that's what I wanted to do. Or I don't want that there and I can just do Control Z and that would eliminate that. So if I go back to this, and the only, let me show you, I know I move fast when I think of things that I do all the time and you might not know how I did that. So here I'm on here, all I did was I just clicked on this box and it brought me up to this question. Well, say I want to fit this question down below, I'm just going to click on it. And then it automatically makes me in that edit mode. So it has all the things here. So I did the mode. I'll talk about that. This is the duplicate button. And then this is the trash button. So if you don't want this question anymore, all you have to do is click that and it automatically will delete it. So if I click on that, it's no longer there. Okay. What's good to remember here is this required. So if I go and I click on required, I toggle it on, it turns it purple. That means when somebody is doing this form, you can't go to the next, I think they can go to the next question, but they can't submit their form unless they answer all of the required questions. So on every question that you put in your form, you have to toggle that on if you want it a required question. Otherwise, people can just scroll right over it and they don't have to answer it. Okay. I'll show you what it's going to look like in a second. So I'm going to do Control V and bring that other question back. Okay, so again, down at the bottom, I was just here at the required. I'm going to click on to required. Whenever you see 3 dots, that means you have options. If I click on that, it just gives me some options on what I might want to do. If there's a description I want, go to section based on the answer. That's going to be helpful when you're creating a quiz. Not really going to talk about that. Or shuffle option order. So if I clicked on that, it'll change some of the options in your actual question, but let's not worry about that yet. That's really used for quizzes. If you wanted to change everybody's form so it's not the same, so it eliminates a lot of the cheating. That's the 3 dots, and I really don't use them very often, but anyway. Say you do a long list and you want to move, I want red to be my first option. As you can see, I'm hovering over my answers, and when I do that, these 6 dots show up on the left-hand side, and now you see that cross. All I'm doing is hovering over, okay? And when that happens, I can drag my answer to wherever I want it. And I wanted it in the 2nd spot. So all I did was I hovered over that, cross sign comes up, I click on it, and then I drag it to where I want it. So whenever you see those dots, that means that you can move it. Same with here. So if you see them up here, that means I can move my question. Well, say you don't want this as your first question, you want this to be your 3rd question. Same thing, I hover over the dots and I'm going to drag it to where I want it. Well, since they're the same question, you're really not going to be able to tell that I dragged and I dropped that. So whenever you see those dots, that means you can click and drag. And that's what it looks like. Okay. So again, this is the multiple choice question. Say I go back to this, oh, I want to add another option. So, you know what, I want to have blue as an option. So I'm going to type in blue, and this automatically, the other defaults to the bottom. So, and if not, then you can always, you know, hover over that, and you can move any of these up or down. There is always going to be at the bottom as a choice. Okay. That option, you're not going to see that. So when somebody's looking at your form, they're not going to see this. It just means you as the editor can add another option. Okay. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So all you need to do, and I do this all throughout when I'm editing. So I want to see what this actually looks like to somebody who's seeing it. All you have to do is come up to the eye, and it says preview. So if I click on that, this is what it would look like if somebody was given this link or this form. So the first thing that it says, which would have been my, you know, what I was saying, please fill in this form or what have you. It says my email address, and then here are my 2 questions that I created. So as you can see, it says, what is your favorite color? And then the choices that I had typed in, and automatically there's the other. And when somebody selects on other, it gives them that option to type in a choice where they can type that in. All right, but if they want to erase it, all they have to do is click clear. That was good. Go back. There we go.
So Joanne, I have another question. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
So when it says your email at the top and it says not shared and it says switch account. So does that mean other people don't see your, like, what does it mean not shared?
I believe that's when I can do this form, but the person that it's going to is not going to get my account. They're not going to know it's from my email account.
Okay, so they're not going to know who the form is from.
Right. But like when I send my forms out to you guys, I don't want your email addresses because then I'll know who submits it, unless
Right.
somebody wants me to know that. So
Okay.
I'll show you the setting for that. Great question though. And that's all in your settings, which is going to be over.
So if I send something out to my students, I would want to know who I got it from. So would I take that off?
Yeah, you're going to want it in there. So if you go to your settings right here, how are responses collected and protected, you click this down arrow, and right here, you're going to toggle on collect email addresses.
Gotcha. Okay.
Simple as that, but it defaults to you're not collecting the email addresses.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
just always check that anyway, because sometimes like, oh, I want it to be anonymous. I don't want anybody to, do that. And also you have to make sure, and I know I'm going ahead of here, but right here, restrict users in Harcum College. So right now that's toggled on. And this is where a lot of people, they try to complete my forms and they're not using their Harcum email address. And I tell them, you're not going to be able to do that. I don't want outside email addresses coming in for these Google forms. I want everybody to use their Harcum email address, but I could toggle that off if I wanted to. And you can too. So if your students, use personal email addresses and you don't care about that, all you have to do is toggle that off as well. Okay. But I mean, we might as well just cover this since I'm here anyway. So again, here you would toggle that on. It would collect your email addresses automatically. You don't have to type it in. So it automatically will default to their email address that they are using when they're filling out that form. So if it's a Harcum email address, which I have that toggled on, it'll automatically do that as well. Here, send responders a copy of the responses. I click that as off. If you want them to get a copy of the responses, you can do that. Like I will do that when you sign up for service. So you have a copy of it. And that way you don't have to go back in and try to find the form again and redo it. So that's what that would be used for. Allow response editing. Responses can be changed after submitted. So say somebody submitted to me and they don't want, something, they want to change something that was on their form, they can go back and change it again. If I toggled that on. If it's not toggled on, that means it's defaulted to, you're not going to be able to change it. This is another thing. You want to limit to one response. I often do that because I don't want somebody submitting, another form. I want one response and that is it. So I often toggle that on as well. Okay. Asi, am I answering your question? Good.
Joanne, this is Chandana. Sorry, I had a question.
It's okay.
So when you toggle the button where it says, sorry, if you just want to scroll it down, I just want to see collect email addresses. But when we look at the form and we're filling the form, it says not shared. So if you toggle this, will that be sharing or not? Sorry, I'm confused.
So if it says collect email addresses and I toggle it on, it's going to collect email addresses. So
Okay.
if I go back, let me get out of here. And I go back to questions. And then I go to settings. Oh, here's my settings. So right here, change settings. There we go. Oh, I see what you're asking me. Okay, so yeah, so that took that away. But right now, so if I went back into, where is this? Collect email addresses. I click that on.
Yeah.
I go back to questions and it says it is automatically collecting it.
Okay.
Like
So
back to
I won't
settings.
see the not shared one then in that case.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
So there it is. Okay. I know you want to be sure. So again, if I go up to my preview, all I have to do is go up to my preview and see what do they see. So as it says not shared, that means I'm not sharing my email address with them.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now that can be confusing at times. Oh, and when you do click the preview key, it automatically, I don't know if you noticed, but it automatically opens up another tab. And then I just have to go back to my sandbox here to go back to my Google form. Okay. So as I said, if I click on the preview, it automatically opens up a tab. And this is what that form would look like if I was giving it to somebody. Okay. All right, so I'm going back to the sandbox and yeah, I'm going to toggle down here. All right, So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go over these. Actually, let me go back to the choices again. So I only use a couple of these. I don't use all of the options that they give you, but there's some, it depends on what you're asking. Are you going to want a multiple choice where they select one thing? You want checkboxes. I use this often because now somebody can select more than one. And when I do that, I often put parentheses, I will say, check all that apply. That way they know they can select, whoops, I'm not gonna do that. So if I go into preview, they can select more than one choice. Okay, so that's why you would want to do something like that. So that was check boxes. I also use, well, you can do a drop down if you want to do a drop down. File upload, you can upload files from your computer, whatever. I often use a linear scale. So I like a linear scale when I'm asking them to rate something. So if I say on here, rate this workshop. 1, and then I have to say what a 1 is going to signify and what a 5 is going to signify. So I'm going to go down. 1 is going to be the worst I've ever been to. Hopefully nobody ever says that. And then 5 being this was the best. So now my linear scale, the student or whoever can select, what they plan on, where they want to rate it. So again, I'm going to go up to my preview key. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So this is what it looks like. So there's my question. You're going to rate this workshop. So a student or whoever knows if they click a 1, it's closest to the worst I've ever been to, or a 5 being this was the best. If they click a 3, you know that they're in the middle. So that I use often. It just saves you a lot from having to write all those selections out. That was a linear scale. There's also a multiple choice grid. That's somewhat confusing. Definitely have to play around with that, and same with the checkbox grid, because you have to figure out what's going to be on one column and what's going to be on the top column, and all the things that are going to follow below that. Don't use that often, but it is an option to have. Other options you have as well, I gotta move my toolbar here, are date and time. So I don't know if any of you remember, on the one form, I asked you, what is your birth date? Well, somebody could just, instead of them having to type in their answer, I could have used the date as a selection. The only issue with that is you have to put in the month, day, and the year. And I know one year I did that, and the feedback I got from that, a lot of people didn't feel comfortable putting in their year, which I get, so I eliminated that. Let's say you wanted people to put in a choice of a date, you would be able to use that. Well, let me just do that. Let's see what happens. So this is what it looks like. And then if I go up to my preview key again, oops, sorry, again, working on one screen. If I go up to my preview key, this is what it looks like. So obviously that question doesn't go along because I'm not rating the workshop. But if this were a question that I'm asking them, what date would you prefer or what have you, I could just go here, and the person answering it can just click on the calendar and they can select a date, or they can manually put in their answer for the date. Okay. And then another choice at the bottom, again, I'm moving all this around, is the time. Same sort of thing. And this is what you guys did the one time when you were selecting times of workshops and so forth. So same thing, you can type in your answer here. I'm going to do 3:30, and then I come over here and I can select PM. So this is something, you're able to use if you're asking people to sign up for certain times. If say you're doing individual meetings with students and you want them to sign up, this could be a choice that you use. But a lot of times I like the eliminator, that add-on, so I could just all the times down, they click on one, and then once somebody clicks on one, a choice is eliminated. But I can show you that in a second. All right, I have all these choices up here. I'm going to go back to my sandbox. All right, so I'm now going to, I just went through all the things that are on that one question. Say I'm ready to add another question. Wherever you are on your form and you're ready to add another question, you're going to use this plus sign. Okay? And as I hover over it, you're going to see that it says add question. So if I click on that, it automatically adds it to the after where I was. So I was in this box, I clicked on the plus sign, it automatically added it here. But remember, you can move your question, as I said before. So see the 6 dots right here, I hover over it, it has the cross sign, I can click on it and drag it. Now I just drag to the bottom, and now that question is at the bottom. And that's how you move them around. Next one is import question. So if you've created Google Forms before, you can import questions from previous forms. So I use this often when I create like one for the workshop. I'll import the same questions, or like when I did Google form for adjuncts, after I did the Google form for faculty, and I want to keep them separate, but I want to ask the same question. So I can import the same question just by toggling on here, not toggling, but hovering over here. And if I click on that, and you're going to see, it's going to bring up all of my Google Forms. Not that I want to use any of them, but you can see what I have before. If I click on them, I can import questions from any of the Google Forms that I've used before that. T, if you hover over that, that's where you add another title and description. So if you go back up to your top here, this box right here where it says sandbox and please, this is considered a title and a description. Why would you do that? Well, oftentimes at the end of my form, I would want to say, I'm going to show you, like, thank you. Whoops. There we go. Thank you for submitting this form. And you'll see it on my forms. Thank you for submitting this form. Your feedback is blah, 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 blah. And then if I click on enter, now it's in there. And I don't have to put a description in there. As it says in there, it's optional. So again, if I go back up, I'm going to do a preview. I'll show you what it looks like. Go to the bottom, and there we go. Thank you for submitting this form. Your feedback is, and whatever else I wanted to put in there. And I can fill that in. Otherwise, they will just see submit. And if you don't want it to just say submit, that's why I put in that little text box. You don't have to. You can even add a picture in there, but I won't get into that right now. That could be somewhat confusing. Okay, so that is the text thing. All right, so say I wanted to add a picture. Now they made this very convenient now, because now you have all of these icons in here. I'm going to go back to here, and again, just going to the next question, I'm just clicking it. I'm just clicking on that, and then all the edit options come up. So instead of adding a picture using the sidebar, because when I add an image, it's going to, it'll be located somewhere in my question. I'd rather do it specifically to either the question itself, and I would use that icon, or if I wanted one of the selections to have a picture, I would click on the image icon next to the answer. Okay, this will, if you hover over, it says add image. So again, I can click on that. I can insert any image from my computer. I take a picture by URL, by photos in your Google Drive, or you can do a Google image search. And one thing that's really good, when you use a Google image search, these should be copyright free. So if I wanted to do, I'm just going to do a smiley face and see what comes up. I'm going to use this one. And again, I click on it, I click insert, and then you're going to see where it adds it to my question. Well, I didn't really put a question in there. Remember, when it shows up and it's really big, in order to resize it, you click on it, you see the boxes all the way around it. Come down and you drag it. So I'm just going to the left corner and I'm going to click and then I'm going to drag it to the size I want it to be at. And that's as simple as that. And that's the smallest that it will go. It will default to that. I can't make that any bigger or smaller. Okay. Next one is, which is great, you can actually add video. The only thing with this, when you do it, it has to be a YouTube video or you have to have a URL. So say I want to add, I wonder if it'll come up as a smiley face. Let's see what happens here. All right, smiley face. This is a happy face. I'll do that one. These are songs. And then I just left click on it and then it says select. I'm going to click on it. Now, when somebody looks at my form, that video is present. As you can see, you'll see that arrow pointing to the right, meaning if you click on it, you would play it. It's because I'm in editing mode. I'm not in watching it mode. So I'm still going to see these 3 dots where I can align it. I'm going to align that. If I go up to my, and this is helpful, like if you're doing a quiz or you want students to view something before they answer a question, go down to that. Now they see that. So I'm just hovering over that. And that just is my one video. But if I get out of that, let me show you this. So if I go over that and I need instructions, this is where you can write, please view this video and then answer questions. So you can just keep that as that and nothing more. And that's what they have to do. They have to view that first and then they can answer questions. And I could start my question here if I wanted to. Last thing that looked like an equal sign, that means adding a section. This is helpful when you're doing a quiz. And I don't use this often. I'll just show you what it looks like. If I added a section, it now means that there is another section where, say, this was, maybe it was an answer. It just says, if you answer yes to this question, proceed to section 2, or answered no to this, proceed to section 2. And then they can bypass all the things that are in section 1 and go right to section 2. When I clicked on this, automatically added this for me. So I just have to change this and name this title. You know, I would just delete this out and name it the second section. It automatically puts section 2 of 2. So you don't have to put that tab. It automatically defaults to that purple color unless you change your colors. Okay. Everybody with me? I know I can't see anybody, but making sure I'm not going too fast there. So those are all of your options when you are toggling or when you're using this choice bar over here to the right. So I think I went through everything that was on my sheet up to number 11. Okay, so now I'm going to get up to number 11 where I can change the theme. I'm going to move this over. So if I go up here and say I don't want it to be purple, I want it to be a different color. So this little color palette, this is where you customize your theme. So if I go up here and I click on it, this pane comes up where you have all different options. You can change it to a different color. Say I don't want purple, I want it to be red, and it automatically changes everything. This will be in dark red, and then on the background, it's going to be that light red. Let's say I wanted orange. So any color that I select here, it will change everything for you. So you don't have to visualize every single question. The whole form is automatically changed. Say you don't like any of the selections here. If you click on the plus sign, you can just click section down here, click on here, and then now you have that choice. I probably shouldn't use purple because it's already in there. Let's use something like that. And then I'm going to click on add, and now it changed it to that color. Unfortunately, you really can't add any other colors in your background. It defaults to whatever color you select up here, and then Google just decides on what would look best. And then you can decide from the 4, and then you can change that. whatever you want, or not a color at all. You can make it like that. You can also change the font in your Google form. So if you come down here, you can see that you have a few choices, not many. Basic is what you see. If you toggle that down, I do not suggest ever using decorative, because if I click on that, look how hard those words are to read. So I don't even know why they would have it as a choice. And there's formal. And then the last one is playful. I've used that before. So it's just more skinny and it's up and down. So that's how you change the color, changing the font to whatever. Or right now, if I give this to somebody to fill out, and all you do is just, you can click out of that if you want to X out of that. Again, if I preview it, this is what it looks like if somebody were to get this form. But say I want like a picture up there. So I know whenever I send forms out, I always have something up there. I might have our logo on the Office of Instructional Success, or I have something else that I would is relevant to what we are, like book club. I think I have a book club one. So here, if I want to change the header, I go to choose image. They will give you some selections. So this is nice because it'll be formatted where it's going to fit in perfectly. Well, they give you some choices here. If you want something that has to do with a party, I don't know how that's a party. Well, let's do fireworks. If I select that, I'm going to just click on it, then I click insert. And then now at the top of my page, I have a header. But when I do that, I don't know if you noticed, all the colors changed in the form itself. So when I added this, everything else changed. We'll say I don't want it to be this ugly greenish color. I want it to be a bright green. I just changed it to that. So again, when I go to my preview, this is what it's going to look like when somebody gets it. Now there's a nice picture up there. Again, if you have a logo or something, you want it to fit in that box. That can be a little tricky. And I'm going to show you how you can upload something. Well, let me upload an image. So I'm going to go to upload. I wonder if I have anything in photos here. No. So if I go to upload and I want to browse, maybe I'll do my logo. I'll just do logo. Here, I'll just use Icons Media. Say I want to use that and I click on add it. See, that fit, but whatever, I'll just do that. I click done and it will automatically change it, and that's what it looks like. So when it doesn't fit in there, which happens often, I use a header that is automatically formatted to fit in there. And I use, I go to Slides Mania, and I know I've had that numerous times listed in the, I'm writing it in the chat right now, slidesmania.com. I use this all the time, and they have something. If you go to Slides Mania, you can type in like their search Google form header. And if you type that in, it'll teach you how to put that header in so where it fits in there perfectly. Because I know originally when I had my logo, it didn't fit in there perfectly. No matter how I tried to size it, it did not work. And when I used this format in Slides Mania, it made it perfect. And so now it's automatically in my pictures, and I just upload it and I don't have to worry about sizing it anymore. Anyway, that's how you do your settings. Okay, so one of the most important things is how do you get your responses? Well, no, I guess you should send it out first. So let me just teach you that. And I know I'm running out of time, so let me just show you this. So now you're ready to send it out. You go up to your send button and you click on it, and you're going to be given several different options. So here's this thing too, automatically click respondent's HARCM email address. So this is where I could click and it will automatically get the responses. Anybody who's using their HARCM email, that's what will be in there. So how do I want to send my form? You can send it via email, which is right here. And this is where you would go down to 2. And since it's connected to your HARCM email, because you're in your G Suite, You can do it the same way. You can populate it the same way that you would as if you were writing an email. First initial, and as soon as I do a first initial, everything else pops up. So you can do that. So say I'm going to select that. This will go to that person that's in the email. All you do is you just keep clicking the people, or you can handwrite who you want to get the form. And when you do that, the only thing you have to do is go down to the bottom and you would click send. If I come down here and I click on send, and the message that they will receive is, I've invited you to fill out a form. If you don't want that, it's very generic. You can say, please fill out the form, it's attached or whatever. I don't click this one. This says include form in the email. It just means it's another way for them if they want to click on it, as opposed to just answering it from the email that I sent them. If that's the case, I can click on that. You don't need that though. If you have other people that you want to look at it and to also edit, you can add collaborators. So if I wanted, say Christine and I are working on a project and we want to send out a form to all of our students, but I want her to work on it as well, I'm going to add her as a collaborator. And then this will bring me to a different box eventually. And then this will, up here, I can add an editor in there. So if I were, say I wanted Christine, there's Christine, I can add her on there. And then when I click send, it will be sent to her, but she will also have those editing abilities. But that's only if you add a collaborator. If not, then it's you and you alone, unless you share them with somebody. So I'm just going to cancel that. I'm just going to get out of here too. I'll go back up to my send. So oftentimes I add links, live links into my emails that I send to you guys, or I want to add them into the newsletter. So instead of sending it via email, I want to get a link. So if I click on link, it automatically provides me with a web link. I always click in the shorten button. Why, I don't know. I think it just looks better that it's a shortened email or a shortened link than that. I clicked on the box where it says short URL, and then I copy it. And then when I go to my email, I want that link copied. So I'm going to show you, I'm just going to say copy. X out of there. Yeah, I go to my inbox. I write an email. Eventually. There we go. So here, I'm just going to send it to myself. And the subject is news. And then here is where I'm going to add that live link. So I would go down here to the link, click insert link, and then I'm going to paste it. Paste. Now it's there. I click OK. And then there's that live link. And then I just send it. I'll be sending it to myself, but that's what would happen. And then I'll show you what it looks like. I sent that home to myself. Here's the email that got sent to myself. Okay. I click on that, and this is where that live link is. So before I would have gotten an email that says, please fill out this form, and it automatically takes them there. Here, it's an actual link you have to click on. So if I were that person that was getting that, I click on it. And then this is what they say. On everything that I created, that's what they say. But let's go back to, where am I? Here I am, right? I think that's on my preview. My preview. I have so many previews up here. Here it is. Okay. So that's how you send it out. But what you want are your responses. So you want to figure out who has responded and so forth. That's where you go to your responses. So when somebody responds, this is where you will see a little bubble up here that will tell you how many people have responded. So when I send these out to all of you guys, when I ask for your response and your feedback on a newsletter, or not a newsletter, on like a workshop, it'll say like 50. There'll be a little bubble that says 50. What I'm going to do is just click on responses, and then it will tell me all of the different things that people have responded to. Has anybody not used this before? I mean, I have like 2 minutes. I can show you what one looks like and also how to download a Google spreadsheet if you want me to do that, or I can save that for another time. I mean, you guys tell me, this is your workshop. You want me to show you what one looks like? You can just unmute yourself and let me know. I can show you like.
I'm
one of-
good with that part. So, because I do a thing with my incoming students and I do know how to get responses, and then it goes down to, I think it's an Excel spreadsheet in Google.
Right, it will, well, it's a Google sheet.
Oh,
you
Google
can-
Sheet. Okay.
And then you can convert it to an Excel spreadsheet if you would
Okay.
rather use Excel than
Okay.
Google Sheets. But good question on that. With the add-ons, since we did mention that, let me just show you where they are. So if I go to the more, and those are just those 3 dots up there. Let me just show you these real fast. Make a copy means you'll make a copy of the whole entire quiz or Google form. So I often do this too. I will make a copy of something that I'm going to use it over and over again. I make a copy of the whole thing. I can trash the whole entire thing, which I'm going to do after this. I can get a pre-filled link. Again, that's something you would use if you're sharing. You can print out your questions. Like I had to do that for my dissertation. I had to print out all the questions that I was asking in my study. You can add collaborators here. Script editor, I do not use, but this is where that add-ons is. So if I click on add-ons, this is the place where you can go to get any add-ons that you might want. So I had, you can even put in one up here. What was that one? Moat, I think it was. Since I already have it, oh, that's not on there. Maybe it's called something else, whatever. So all of your add-ons, you can just type in here and then you can just add them on as you need. So that's basically it for add-ons. Okay, so I will let you guys ask me any questions, something that I haven't covered or something that you want me to go over. Like I said, quizzes, don't ask me anything about quizzes. I think I'm going to do a whole separate workshop on quizzes because that's at least an hour long, go over that. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything I can cover again? Or is everybody good?
I'm good.
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, Darcy, you go ahead.
No, I just said I'm good.
Okay, Stassi. Anjana, you have a question?
Yes, Joanne. I mean, I don't know if this is relevant to this, but say as a responder, I responded to the form. I'm so sorry. And I've sent it to you. How would I know that I have responded to the form or not?
You as the person who's submitting,
Sent it, yeah.
it'll say on there, your form has been submitted. When
But-
you click on that,
Yeah. Once I've filled in the form and say, you know, usually if I'm sending the forms back to you and I would have done many. And then I was like, oh, have I done this one or not? If I'm like questioning myself, when I go back to your email to fill out, it opens up again, right?
so that means that I haven't used that toggle that says, you know, you can't respond more than once.
Uh-huh.
That's
Okay.
my mistake, that I just didn't do it. Again, if I'm collecting email addresses, then I would see that something's duplicated.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's my mistake. I'm the
All
editor,
right.
I'm the one that should be toggling that on.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm really keeping track on responding. I usually do, but at times when there's so much going on and like, have I said it? I might have sent it twice.
Yeah, see, I should probably put something on there that
Yeah.
I forget. I try to send them out as fast as I can. A lot of times I don't even go into settings. I'm like, whatever, it's on, it's on.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it was just something like, you know, if you get, oh, you've already submitted the form or something like that, then that way it's like, oh, it keeps me like, okay, I'm doing what I'm
Right.
doing is right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all good. All right, so is there anything else I can cover for you guys, or is everybody good to go? It's very intuitive, it's very easy to use. Hopefully you learned a little bit today. If there's anything else, like when I send this out, one of the options is going to be that you want to learn about how to do quizzes or something else, exit tickets or something like that. Just make sure you click that as a choice on the feedback form. So I know this is what you want. Otherwise, I won't do a workshop on it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Great.
everybody. Well,
Thanks.
hopefully you learned.
Stay
and
dry.
yeah, right. Stay dry.
Thank
See
you so much,
later.
Joanne. That was very helpful.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.